Okay, let's talk about why you need to provide due diligence and know your client information, why you need to provide your ID and prove the money was acquired legally and so on. So what we'll do is we'll give you a background as to who's requiring this information and why. In fact, sometimes we'll have a client order an international trust or company and they'll call us back and say, man, you guys make this difficult. Why are you making us do all this stuff and notarize our ID and show a utility bill and get a reference letter? Why do you guys make it so difficult? Well, keep in mind, it's not us making it difficult. It was up to us. We would just get to know you and set up the company for you. So here's the main organization that makes banks, trust companies, and corporate providers follow all these requirements. It's the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. It's an intergovernmental economic organization with 36 member countries that was founded in 1961 to stimulate economic progress and worldwide trade. So in 1989, the OECD created the Financial Action Task Force on Money Laundering, or FATF. That's another intergovernmental organization, meaning a bunch of countries come together, and its purpose is to combat money laundering. And in 2001, to also stop the funding of terrorism. And it implements its recommendations by mutually agreed member countries. Now, the FATF office is housed in the OEC headquarters in Paris, France. Now, the 2003 40 recommendations require countries, among other things, to implement customer due diligence. For example, identity verification and record keeping, plus 9 special recommendations. Now, here are some examples of these recommendations or requirements in order to form a company, trust, or open a bank account. Providing a notarized copy of your passport, an original utility bill bearing your residential address to prove identity, a reference letter from your existing bank and or letter from your attorney and or accountant, plus safeguards to help prevent illegal funds from going through the financial system, among other things. And then in 2000, it issued a list of non-cooperative countries, commonly called the Fatf Blacklist, that did not comply with the guidelines. Such a jurisdiction is put under intense financial pressure, thus limiting the country's ability to borrow from the International Monetary Fund, downgrading their debt rating, limiting their access to bond markets and correspondent banks, ending relationships so their banks cannot wire funds in US dollars or euros, effectively crippling their economies and impoverishing their people. I've personally witnessed this happening. As a result, their governments will pull the licenses of non-cooperative banks, corporate providers, law firms, and trustees. Then hotels, restaurants, doctors' offices, food stores, gas stations that use that bank and whatever type of business that you may be in would not be able to process credit cards or payments, putting hundreds out of work, including the person who's reviewing your bank account, trust, or company application for compliance. I've personally traveled and walked into dozens of offshore banks and trust companies and have personally witnessed the fear on their faces as they undergo their annual audits, making sure they have every document for every customer and they're not accepting any customers who have an inkling of a possibility of handling any illegal proceeds. For even one violation, they face stiff fines, loss of license to do business, and the ends of their careers. Like getting on a standard commercial airliner to take a trip. We must go through security screening if we want to get on that airplane. So we have a choice. Among other things, we can put our bags on the conveyor belt and walk through the body scanner and follow whatever other directions are given by the personnel. We can get a special security clearance to lighten the load, or we can stand there beating our chests, yelling at the officials that they're wasting our time, complaining that we are good people, not terrorists, and we shouldn't have to be subject to such scrutiny. And as you know, they don't care. If you want to get to Paris or Dallas or visit your family on a standard flight, you have to follow their procedures, whether you're a good person or not. So when you set up a company, trust, or bank account, we can stomp our feet and wonder why it's taking so long, or we can simply go through the checklist one at a time and get the job done. No bank president is going to tell an FATF international inspector that this particular customer got mad that it was taking too long, so we give him a pass. That's why we don't have a copy of his reference letters. A banker like that will be out on the street looking for work. The president or prime minister will likely not win re-election due to the economic ruin of his or her country. Just like the security screeners at the airport, the bankers are not going to make exceptions just because you or I are somehow special. These items are relatively easy. It's not brain surgery, and nobody's asking you to dig a tunnel with your bare hands between New York and Los Angeles. All you have to do is make a few phone calls for reference letters, make a few photocopies, visit a notary public, and stick them in an envelope. It's a small effort for the tremendous benefits of asset protection from lawsuits, investment opportunities, financial privacy, and business expansion that international finance may bring to your life. So go through the checklist one at a time, and I'm sure you'll find it easy to accomplish. If you're a client with questions, please feel free to give one of us a call, and we're glad to help you. Thanks for watching.